Okay, welcome everybody to our town council meeting on February 1st. We have a couple of public hearings tonight, but we'll move forward first with approval of the agenda, and I guess we'll go with that. So everybody had a chance to look at the agenda. Can we move forward with an approval on it? Moved by Deputy Mayor Headley, seconded by Councilman Nadeau. Be it resolved, the Council of Town Neepawa approve the regular meeting agenda for February 1st, 2022. All in favor? What time is the public hearing for?
Okay, I'm going to admit our guest in. This
Okay.
can be in now if you want to welcome him when I let him in. There we go.
Hi, hello.
Hi, welcome to our council meeting.
Hi.
This is Mr. Chin.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, we're going to move forward into our public hearing, so I'm going to call it to order. So I will need a motion to move forward to open the public hearing. Moved by Councilor Parrott, seconded by Mayor Headley. Be it resolved, the Council of Town Neepawa do now approve this public hearing to hear representation to variation application B-05-2021 of Wheeling Chin on behalf of GC Basanta. All in favor? Carried. Okay, Jeff, maybe we'll let you speak first.
Sure. So this is application V05-2021-N. Owner of the property is GC Basanta, and the applicant is Winling Chen. Proposal is a variation, and there's two parts to it. The first part is to intensify the residential use from the current RT residential 2-unit zone to the proposed RM1 residential multi-unit 1 zone. And the second part is to reduce the minimum side yard setback for both side yards from the required 10 feet to the proposed 9 feet. And it's affecting 270 Main Street East, being lots 2021, block 81, plat 256. And the reason in support is to allow for the construction of a 2-story, 4-unit residential dwelling, having two residential units on the main floor and 2 residential units on the second floor.
Yes.
Go ahead. Do you have anything you'd like to say, Mr. Chin?
Like for me, it was going. I was looking for a place to find a property to build a rental property, and I noticed Neepawa is a fast-growing community, and I'm pretty sure there is a demand in housing, and so I would say that's a good fit for the community. That's one reason. The second reason I'm thinking to do that is also efficiency. This 4PX unit, they share one roof, and they share common walls, and also the flooring. So just for the energy consuming side is efficiency. And also the land is big enough and for fix this property. And there's should be everywhere. There's younger people or smaller family. They don't really require a yard, a basement, or 2-car garage. This is going to be great for different people have different needs, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. And also, let's put it this way, I have lived in this kind of unit before, and I have done a few buildings before, so I think with this project, it's not a big problem for me to get it done.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions from council? Yeah, Councilor.
Looking at your site layout, I'm very happy to see you have 6 cars in your parking plan. How would the cars be able to get to their spaces? Like, is there enough room? Just looking at... maybe it's just not to scale, and do you feel it's gonna be enough?
That's what, the parking spot, I was told, it's, every household, it's 1.5 cars. So total 4 units need 6 cars, and we did math, we draw the layout that should be enough, and those, actually, those parking spots, parking lot, it's actually, the space is quite generous, and I actually measured my cars like less than 7 feet. And how long, I forgot. I'm not an expert. And that's what I can see for the moment. And yeah.
The proposed size meets our minimum requirements as well. The 9 by 20 is our minimum residential or lot, okay, parking stall size. So there's, with the proposal, there's 27 feet in the rear yard from the boundary to the back of the building. So.
Any other questions? I guess I just have one question. If for some reason the council was to say they weren't comfortable with the fourplex, would you still go ahead with the duplex?
Sorry, I didn't get this part.
If we said no to the fourplex, would you still go ahead with the duplex?
No, there's a reason for that, because I find, that is a busy location and is right on the highway. Like a duplex is kind of for a family, and I will see if, like my personal opinion doesn't represent everyone else. If you have like pets, dogs, and the children, especially young children, you might not want to put your house right beside on a busy highway. That's kind of, could be dangerous, could be like noisy, but for rental or for like, wow, I wouldn't say like temporary, but that would be like, and people will, that's what I'm thinking anyway. That's why I think, the duplex might not take off. So that's the reason I would make the fourplex.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yeah, Councilor.
I don't want to steal your question.
No.
Okay. So obviously it's going to be like a rear access to the house for parking and stuff, right? Are you thinking that the house would face the rear? The front of the house would face the rear, you're thinking?
Oh, no, like the doors is gonna face on the highway, and but the bedroom is facing the back lane. So this way, like I would say, it's quiet, and also it's warmer during the winter. That's the way I think it works the best. And I do think about to make an extra soundproof installation when we're building on the highway side to make sure it's not too much. Is this answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I guess if we have no other questions, thank you, Mr. Chen. We're going to go ahead and close this public hearing.
I did, this application was circulated to the neighboring property owners with the required mounted, there's no representation from the public either for or against it for the proposal, so that's all.
Okay, good, thank you. Okay, thank you again, Mr. Chen. We're going to move forward with closing this public hearing now, so I'll move by.
Aaron, okay.
No, Darren, sorry, Councilor Pudlow, seconded by Councilor Frere. Be resolved, the Council of Town Neepawa now do adjourn this public hearing at 7:10 p.m. All in favor? Carried. Okay, we're now going to move forward into our second public hearing. We'll go forward with the motion on opening it. So moved by Councilor Nadeau. Seconded by
Aaron.
Be it resolved, the Council of Town Neepawa do now open this public hearing to hear representation of the creation of a new public road under subdivision application 4437-21-83-47. All in favor? Carried. Sorry.
So this public hearing is technically about a proposal to subdivide land which results in the creation of a new public road. So rather than just speak to you about the creation of the road, I think you need to understand subdivision, which you're going to have on your agenda later. And a criteria of condition of that subdivision is going to be that we do a road closing bylaw. So the legislation is different over the past number of years. I'm going to start with that. When we have normally opened a road as part of a subdivision, we haven't had to actually hold a hearing, or there's a requirement for either a hearing or not, or a bylaw. So community planning and Brandon said that we need to have a bylaw. I didn't necessarily need to hold this hearing. Yet when we opened the same street under our subdivision for the CN property, we did it through the subdivision, which is acceptable at that time. So overkill or not, I'm doing a public hearing and a bylaw because I'm not coming back to revisit this like on occasions we've had with the CN subdivision where they tell us, you know, go this direction and then all of a sudden we have to veer left and do something different. So I decided to proceed with the hearing and then we will do a bylaw and we're just going to nail it all at once. So this relates to subdivision 4437-21-8347 in the town of Neepawa, and more specifically to, in layman's terms, for people who are sitting out there wondering what this is about. When we created the CN subdivision in entirety, we created Stonehouse Street to the southern portion of that subdivision. There was a small triangle property that was owned by Chicken Corral at the time, and that basically was a big old triangle that pointed north into property the town owned. So that triangle in history was basically based on an odd shape based on where the railway existed at the time. Having no railway there anymore, this triangle juts out into property, and technically there are a few pieces, one Chicken Chef now as the owner, and of course the town property, neither parcel is technically squared up with some nice east-west lines and whatnot. So smack dab in the middle of Stonehouse Street, just north of Chicken Chef, there's a small piece of land that we cannot say is part of Stonehouse Street until we open it as a public road. So the subdivision in question is, we're working with Chicken Chef, basically, is two new lots will be created from an oddly shaped parcel in the town of Neepawa. The remaining piece from the middle will be opened as public road, which will give us the full extent of the access to the part that we already did open a few years ago. The land in question is designated as highway commercial hold area, and policy 3.3.2 governs the designation and allows for the subdivision of land. It meets the requirements short of the particular size in question under zoning, but it becomes irrelevant because of what we're intending to do with that particular parcel there. The comments that came through the circulation process, the community and regional planning, basically we require a multi-parcel plan survey for the consolidation of mines and mineral considerations in series. We have to do a plan of public road to be open with a bylaw. We will do that once we get a surveyor to create that plan of road survey and plan of subdivision. And so in the coming weeks, we're hoping to have that for first reading. The boundaries of proposed parcels shown would reflect the boundaries of the mines and mineral restrictions because of consolidation of part of the titles there. And of course, there's some mortgages attached to the property. We'll have to tidy those up and make sure that the piece that will be taken through the subdivision process is removed from the mortgage considerations. So basically the comments from the planning office, that if we're inclined to approve the subdivision in your regular meeting part, that we would do that bylaw, and I'd put that in the resolution. Circulation process that we went through to make sure everybody was notified. I did receive some calls. They were just confused what it meant. I think a lot of people didn't realize there was this weird triangle that existed there, and they are perfectly happy with us cleaning that up and moving on. So that's just questions.
Doesn't look like there's any questions.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. If that's it, I guess we will move forward with adjourning this public hearing. So can I get a motion on that, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Headley, seconded by Councilor Jordan. Be it resolved, the Council of Town Neepawa do now adjourn this public hearing at 7:18 p.m. All in favor? Okay. We will now go back into our regular meeting, and we are at the approval of the minutes. Everybody's had a chance to review the minutes. If there's no errors or omissions, everybody's comfortable. Can I move forward with the motion on that? Moved by Councilor Jordan, seconded by Councilor Pedlo. Be it resolved, Council of Town Neepawa approve the minutes of the regular meeting held January 18th, 2022 as circulated. All in favor? Okay, we are into council reports. Who has a council report? Councilor Parrott?
Okay, so this is the static report for the flood reparations. Site 1 is the Park Lake Dam. The Rockville Riprap supply and tree removal contracts have been awarded to Rob Smith & Son. The spillway design is refined to the testing, has been refined to agree with the testing of the Rockville riprap material. The geotechnical laboratory testing for the dam design has been updated. And it is anticipated we'll have approval for the construction of the temporary access within Park Lake so that they can get the material in and out. There's an environmental request for review for the fisheries and oceans, which is ongoing. The dam design drawings have been updated to deal with the changes of the geotechnical design. Site 3 is the Park Lake Drive Bridge. So the DFO has provided a letter of advice to deal with the construction of that. And this structural design drawings will be finalized and the tender package is planned to be released in early February. Site 18 and 25 are at the Neepawa Golf Course Bridge and Riverbank erosion. The geotechnical investigation is scheduled for February 3rd and 4th. And design work will be completed following this geotechnical investigation. So we are given a timeline schedule update all the time, and it gives the projected times, which get altered all the time. And as far as when does the construction actually begin, it is to be determined.
Okay, thank you, Barry. Anybody else with a council report? Councilor Legault.
On January 19th, we had a library board meeting, and we had two meetings in one. We had an AGM, we elected a new chair and a new vice chair. And they're both citizen reps, so it goes to show you when citizens volunteer, very important roles they play on boards. And at our regular meeting, some really interesting tidbits came out. The Carberry Library just received a grant for over $3,000, and they purchased a new 3D printer. So as part of the Western Manitoba Regional Library System, we're able to use the Carberry Library. So we could go there and see how we can access that 3D printer ourselves. We also have a new director that started December 6th officially, and her name is Ali Wildchuck. So she's the Director of Library Services for the entire region. So she's our director ahead of our librarian here. So she looks after them. And that's about all the big tidbits right now.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Anybody else? Oh, Councilor Jarrett.
Yes, on January 27th, we had a county courthouse meeting. At that meeting, we approved the budget for the upcoming year. We also awarded a cleaning contract as the original people that took care of the facility, the Burtons, who've been it many, many years, retired from that. So we've got a new person taking over the contract of that building. And we also met collectively as a group, and we're in the process of reaching out to a group so we can look at better improving accessibility while maintaining the importance of that heritage building, and then also looking at ways that we can get greater functionality and more use out of the building, because We agree right now that the building is being dramatically underused and how we can get better use for it within the community. So we'll be engaging a group here in the short term to start having some preliminary conversations, and that was all brought forward by the Neepawa representatives, and we're going to get that rolling along here as quick as we can. So,
Perfect, thank you, Darrell. Deputy Mayor Hedges.
Yes, on January 25th, Councilor Gerard and I attended the fire department's meeting to review new policies. It also gave us an opportunity to discuss other concerns and matters with the department, and just let them know they're a very important group to our community. And then today was the Emergency Managers Organization, or we know them as EMO. The EMO has a preparedness and response branch. They also manage all the departments for major emergencies such as fires, floods, etc. EMO also oversees the emergency alert system. That's the loud noises that you hear and when you receive communication over electronic device. And they also do a lot of planning and training programs for the province. So basically they've got a new service catalog that lists all the services that EMO provides to our community. So it's basically an update today.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Not one thing.
Okay, yeah, Councilor Carr.
We met as a planning board and we reviewed applicants for the new building inspector position, which is an additional building inspector position, and we are doing interviews next week.
Okay, thank you.
So our head inspector is still there.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, those rumors are not true.
Quit or been fired.
Okay, I guess I'm last. I have a few comments to make on the handyman. Councilor Malinchuk usually represents that, but she's not here tonight. So on behalf of the Neepawa Handyman Board, I just want to take a few minutes to share some information with our viewers. As some of you might be aware, Mary Porter has recently tendered her resignation as handyman operator, and I want to take this opportunity to thank Mary for her many years of service to the community and our residents, particularly through COVID and the challenges we all faced. The Handyman organization has been a service in Neepawa for over 40 years. We were one of the first 3 communities to join the provincial program and have been running it strong ever since. We would like to also take this opportunity to acknowledge the contract drivers who have served our community over the years: Ron Forsman, Terry Smith, Gary Ridley, Phil Satecki, Keith Porter, and of course Mary Porter. The organization would not be where it is today without the dedicated service of these contractors, and we thank each and every one of them. Now, as previously announced, the Handyman organization was selected to be part of a municipal service delivery improvement program provided by the province of Manitoba. This is a provincially funded program, and it provides organizations with the ability to work with specialized consultants to review their operations. The consultants will evaluate the program and analyze the current state, measure the effectiveness, efficiency, and economy of the program. Upon completion of this review, consultants will provide a detailed overview of their findings and provide the board with a list of practicable, actionable recommendations aimed at achieving the desired criteria for the board to consider. The goal of the review is to ensure the sustainability of the handyman organization well into the future and to ensure it continues to grow and meet the needs of all our communities for years to come. With Mary's recent resignation, the board has chosen to temporarily hire Justin Chakowski on an interim basis until June the 1st, and we welcome him and his team of drivers. By June, the review should be completed and the board will be in a position to move forward on a more permanent basis. We look forward to receiving this report. And again, thank you to Mary for your dedication and your service. You will be missed by many of your regular riders. We appreciate your time and commitment to this very important program. Thank you. Okay. We are into Denise, Manager of Operations.
Thank you, Mayor, for the question. Not too much to report on other than that staff have been busy obviously cleaning up snow. So we've been running around trying to dig up fire hydrants, tidy up some intersections anywhere we've got some poor visibility sight lines, just to ensure safety. So they've been tackling and picking away at back lanes as well. So I believe we're pretty much caught up, but lo and behold, we can start all over with today's snow. As Councillor Perry indicated, that park light work has started. should see trucks rolling around there. They've been moving since last week, and we'll see this running from February to March before we see completion on that rock haul and also the tree removal. Some concerning is that we're seeing some mainline blockages reoccurring now. This is a lot in part due to grease. So staff had some difficult time pulling our main lines. One of the bigger ones, a 15-inch line plugging solid grease again. So grease is still an ongoing issue here. We need to try to get residents to slow it down and stop flushing it down and dumping it down the sink. Trying to line up meetings with our engineers to discuss some of our infrastructure projects for this year coming up, whether it be services around the town, some of our bigger projects. So hopefully I can run in and touch base with them. And then just a reminder that our summer jobs are still posted, right, Julie? When do they close? You don't know offhand? Anyway, they're still posted. So if there's any university kids or you're looking for work, we have summer positions advertised right now. So please come drop a resume or fill an application out. And that's everything I've got.
Councilor Gerard.
Yeah, just a question, and you talked about clearing sight lines for snow banks. Who's responsible for the hill going down on Main Street by Brown? Because it is getting quite atrocious in there. I assume that's a highways issue?
That is a highways issue, yes. Unfortunately, and I'm not too sure where they are on it. It's usually they come to a cleanup. We'll have to poke them and see when they're going to be here.
I have a hard time seeing it, and I'm seeing a high half ton, so I can't imagine how the cars are coming on there. You're coming on blind right now. It's bad. So, thank you. But that's not the town. That is highways. Who's not taking care of that area? I just wanted to acknowledge that.
So we go back to that 15-inch line that's plugged. How do you unplug that thing? I'm
We
assuming it's
get our
not plugged.
jet go through there, and we have to keep running and high pressure and hot water, and then we get it, and then we try to capture the grease blobs that go by with the vac and capture them. And usually most of the day spent.
And how long would that have taken? Like how long would you have to do that if it continues to occur like that? Like once every...
This one has been acting slow for us now since, I think, Boxing Day. That's when we had that. We actually had incurred back up the residents because of this much grease.
Okay.
So they monitor, we go around, we put Actizyme, we're doing some grease activated products in there that try to reduce the grease and not let it solidify so hard. But yeah, they come out and that grease hardens up incredible. So it's very difficult to remove.
I know, I can imagine. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're into finance and accounts. So January accounts, everybody's had a chance to review them. Everybody's comfortable. Can I move forward with a motion? Moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Deputy Mayor Headley. Be it resolved that we approve the accounts for January 2022 totaling $2,098,190.93 as reviewed and representing checks 2022-00023 to 2022-00194, but excluding 2022-00057 and 2022-00130. All in favor? Carried. Okay, Councilor Gerard, Mayor Headley excusing themselves. Now we're going to move forward with the accounts on January for Home Hard and Co-op. Can I get a motion on that? Moved by Councilor Parrott, seconded by Councilor Nadeau. Be it resolved that we approve check 2022-00057 and 2022-00130 for January to Home Hardware and Newport Gladstone Co-op totaling $5,292.51. All in favor? Carried.
Okay, yes. Right there, Roland.
Make sure.
You didn't think we had quorum?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay, we're back to the variation application on the Santa Chin. Now, is that a motion, a resolution we want to move forward tonight? Do we want to table it? We're missing one counselor. Do we want to, is that something we want to discuss further? What's the will of the council?
I would move to table.
Okay. Everybody's comfortable with that for tonight? We will table it?
I would agree.
Okay. So do I need a, is it just table then?
Well, technically, it's not on the floor yet.
Oh, okay, so do I need to
Put it on the floor and then move to table.
So I need to read the motion? Okay, so moved by Councilor Liddell, seconded by
Garrett?
Councilor Tudlow. Be it resolved that we approve variation application V-05-2021 of Wheeling Chin on behalf of GC Basanta respecting lots 20 and 21, block 81, plan 256 and 270 Main Street East to allow for the intensification of the residential use from current RT residential 2-unit zone to the proposed RM1 residential multi-use 1 zone, as well as approving a side yard setback reduction for both side yards from the required 10 feet to proposed 9 feet each. These variances to allow for the construction of a 2-story, 4-unit residential dwelling within 2 units on the main floor and 2 units on the second floor. Okay.
I would now move to table that.
Okay. I need a seconder for that.
Darren,
Okay, moved by Councilor Parrott, seconded by Councilor Pudlow, that we table this resolution to the next meeting. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, carried. Okay, we are into the next one, subdivision on the town of Neepawa Chicken Corral, Canada. I'll move forward with that motion. Moved by Secretary Headley, seconded by
Garrett?
Councilor Pudlow. Be it resolved that we approve a subdivision application 4437-21-8347 affecting lot 63, plan 65638, and lot 1, plan 69493 in southwest 33-14-5 west, and subject to the passing of a bylaw to open that portion of the subdivision that will become part of Stonehouse Street.
Can I just amend, that's 331415 west, sorry.
33, did I say that? Sorry.
No, I'm missing a 1 there, 331450.
Oh, sorry, yeah, 3314-15 west, subject to the passing of a bylaw to open the portion of the subdivision that will become part of Stonehouse Street. All in favor? Okay.
You're in 8.2, or 8.3 now,
Yes, and that is,
a zoning bylaw now.
okay, and that's,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, Jeff? I'm a little lost here.
Yeah, so my office has received an application to amend the town of Neepawa zoning bylaw. The owner of the property, it's a Manitoba Limited Company, 1004960. And it's basically, this is affecting the 553 Dominion Road and 571 Dominion Road. And the amendment is a map amendment requesting to rezone the noted properties from the current MH industrial heavy zone to the proposed RM2 residential multiple unit 2 zone. And the owners wish to construct a multi-use residential development on the noted property. This property is probably better known as the old hatchery property right up Dominion Road. So this parcel has already gone through the planning district. We've amended the development plan to have the development plan map noted as residential. The next portion is to have the Neepawa zoning bylaw map amended as well. So, regional planning creates our bylaws, and they just like to receive a resolution from council that council's reviewed the application and they're relatively in favor of proceeding with the bylaws.
Okay, any questions, any comments?
I'll just make a comment. So
Yeah.
this is not approving anything under zoning yet. This is just requesting community regional planning to create your bylaw and your attached schedule, which will be the map that you will take for first reading once it's done.
Okay, so this is just a first step.
Just a request.
Okay, so, okay, that clarifies that, so I think we can just move forward with the resolution then. So moved by Councilor Parrott, seconded by Councilor Liddell. Be it resolved that the Council of Town Neepawa requests community and regional planning prepare bylaw number 3209-22 to give effect to amending the Town of Neepawa zoning bylaw number 3184-18 for the rezoning of lots 6 and 7, plan 6991 at 553 and 571 Dominion Road from the current MH industrial heavy zone to the proposed RM2 residential multiple unit 2 zone. All in favor? Carried. Okay, Colleen, I assume it's you, Riverbend Campground?
So you have seen some information in the past, because as you know, we've been looking at our rates, and we recently adjusted our swimming rates. We looked at the campground as well. What we also looked at the campground was measuring against our success we've had over the past 5 years doing online bookings, understanding the province basically does online bookings for camp spots. We want to offer the same service here, and that does not mean that people cannot call the office or cannot personally get a booking if they require one. We would assist them here at the office anytime. This is just a little better service electronically, and people can also pay online. So because we were so successful with the swimming online bookings, we decided we would proceed and try this out. It's called Camp Spot is what we looked at. We also measured the ability, I know I had questions about trying to get this service from a more local venue. There are no such venues necessarily, there's only a few in Canada. The one we're promoting is a well-known one and works extremely well. So we would like to get that underway so we can get that put in place for when we're ready to book in the next few months, hopefully. We also looked at what we've been charging at our campground, and as the information you'll see is our recreation person did, I guess the director of recreation, I couldn't think of the title, did a review of various campgrounds in the area and determined we actually are significantly low, and based on what you'll see, compared to other areas that offer similar amenities. We have not really had our rates increased since 2008. We still remain low in some respects, in most respects actually, even at the rates we're proposing. So I'll just give you an example because there's not a lot to read like it would have been the night of the swimming one. For a full service, we currently charge $28. We're proposing $35. Water and electric hookup, we currently charge $25. We're proposing $30. Just electric, we were charging $20. We want to charge $25. For no service at all, we were charging $15, and we want to charge $20. And like I say, we are still low based on the research we did. So if you're supportive, we have a resolution here to actually move forward with adjusting those rates and engaging with the software company to get that put into place and set up for our camp bookings.
Any questions, any comments? Okay, no, all seems pretty reasonable to me. I guess we'll move forward with that resolution then. Move by. Deputy Mayor Headley. Councillor Padlo seconded it. Be it resolved that we approve the following changes at the Riverbend Campground for 2022. New booking software to provide an option for online reservations and payment, and increases for the rate structure as follows. Full service $35, water and electric $30, electric $25, no services $20. All in favor? Okay, and we have a Royal Canadian Air Force flyby coming, Colleen.
So as we know, over the last few years, it's been very difficult to plan to have events and host them in the community. The more pressing one at the moment would be the February day, which under the current health order is going to be very difficult to have activities happen. So we discussed, I think a couple of weeks ago, we talked about let's plan for Canada Day, let's do the best we can and offer the things we can even if there are restrictions in place. So our recreation director was looking at options. We have the ability to be in contact with the Royal Canadian Air Force again to participate on Celebrate Canada Day by doing a flyby. And you'll all more recently be aware of when that bike group came through town and we had a flyby, a very successful flyby that day for post-traumatic stress disorder, I think is what they were supporting. Was it not, Julie? Anyway, to be able to get on their list for a request to have a flyby, we need a resolution of council in support of this and get it into the queue and see if they would consider doing a flyby on that day. So I'm looking for some support to make this planning. We think this type of event is something, even if there are restrictions in place, we could easily accommodate people for something. Some activity this year.
Okay. I think everybody's pretty comfortable with that. I think everybody liked it last time, so we'll move forward with that resolution. Move by.
Garrett.
Councilor Padlo, seconded by Deputy Mayor Headley. Be it resolved, the town of Neepawa is supportive of a flyby by RCAF aircraft as low as 500 feet for the planned Neepawa Celebrate Canada Day being held at 418 Davidson Street, Riverbend Park for transit, practice, and shows on July 1st, 2022. All in favor? Okay. Okay, we are at easement to construct a fire escape. Is that back to you, Jeff? Or is that?
We can both speak. I'll just
Okay.
I'll quickly summarize this. This has come to our attention. The property owners of the building next door to us, known as the Kerr Block, and just immediately next door to us on the east, is looking at actually improving their building and addressing all of the things they need to do to get it operational and functional. They currently have tenants upstairs, so as part of the review and some engineered plans and different things, speaking through the planning office, there's going to be some requirements to bring the building up to code insofar as fire safety for the tenants. Brought forward to you previously, just a very cursory discussion, was the fact that they're going to need a fire escape up there to be able to accommodate exit for the tenants up there should a fire occur and they need to get out of the building. So I think at that time, we just said before they went any further with their planning, would council be in favor of allowing an easement into basically the area in between both of these buildings here and allow that to happen and then to put in some kind of a fire escape there? And he said we would probably entertain that idea. So what I'm asking you tonight is, I only got the draft of the agreement today. We have not time to vet it through any legal source of any sort. We want to make sure it nails all the requirements we're going to have, such as access onto Hamilton Street, no entry from the exterior. It'd be basically a crash bar door from the interior to the exterior. It's going to meet requirements. So I'm asking in the resolution tonight, so we don't hold them up in their planning scheme, for you to approve proceeding with that so they can meet their fire safety requirements, but under the understanding it's contingent on we come to the formal agreement through having our legal people read through the document and making sure it's achieved everything we need for it to achieve. Anything else, Jeff?
No, I think you're pretty thorough on that. Answers any questions.
Is there any questions, any comments? This is really just the first step, right? Kelly?
Yes.
So, question then would be, the easement would get released if they did not move ahead with it?
Like I say, those are things, if you've got comments today, we would make sure we entertain those in the agreement so that should not move forward, we would discharge it off property.
Yeah, well, I would like that in there.
Okay, anybody else?
And I guess maybe I would add in discussions with them, good intentions all around. We just feel that the state of the building and the way it's stuck for this length of time, we're going to show our good faith that we're prepared to move this forward. They now have to show their good faith in achieving all of these things, because the bottom line is the integrity of the building, the ability to keep the people safe in there, and we're going to make sure that we follow this up.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move forward with that resolution. Moved by Councilor Jordan, seconded by Councilor Nadeau. Be it resolved that the subject to finalizing the terms for an easement agreement, the Council for the Town of Neepawa hereby agree to allow the owner of property located at 287 Hamilton Street, lots 8-10, block 117, plan 256, to register an easement over that portion of the town property at 275 Hamilton Street, lots 11 and 12, block 117, plan 256, to permit property owner the ability to construct a fire escape in accordance with the National Building and Fire Codes. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and Colleen, we're into bylaw, first reading for drainage and grading.
So this is a bylaw that's been a long time in coming, and I would hate to tell you how many draft versions we've had of this bylaw, right, Jeff? It has been vetted through legal a few times, and of course, it would get dropped a little bit through the plug. We had so many things, and those aren't excuses by any means of why it's not pure table yet. It's just what happened. So we think our delays actually has improved what we put into the document, because admittedly, Jeff has been proceeding, as is Denis, on basically when people are asking questions about drainage. We've been using the terms in the bylaw as our guidelines to set requirements for drainage already over the last year or two. So this is just going to lock it down into a more formal document, looking at when you build your property, it has to have positive drainage, of course away from your property, but not so that it impacts the neighbor's property. Talks about how you purchase your property, the degree of slope, 2% from the first 2 feet in from the front and rear yard, 1% from the side yards. to a gradient of 4 as you proceed to your property line. It will address things like whether you have a foundation or not and the requirements for how you drain, whether it's acceptable to drain to a swale. It has provisions for allowing our designated officer to take a look at the logistics of the land, the logistics of what development could be there or may never be there, and giving him a little latitude as well, or whether it be a different designated officer as our manager of operations possibly. I think we've nailed it all. The big difference is now when you come in for permits or anything, or meet Jeff in his office, you have to get a drainage permit now for $75. Depending on the works, technically you will leave a deposit here with the town of Neepawa to make sure that you follow through on your drainage, and you'll get, when the works are done, you will get your deposit released back to you. Should you not proceed and complete the works that would be required and noted on your drainage plan, we will take that money as the either full payment if that's all that was required, or a partial payment towards completing those works on your behalf, and then any difference would be attached to your tax base. So it just gives us a little bit of levity and some stability insofar as making sure that, you know, we've had some issues with drainage in the past, and that we're trying to take everybody into account when we're looking at what's going on out there. So we're open for support of this. Of course, we can do amendments between second and third reading, should you so require to do so after reviewing, you know, the document. And if you have any questions, Jeff and I will try to answer them. And Denise.
Okay, so maybe I missed that. You gave me a lot of information. So when you do the drainage and the house sells and someone else takes ownership, how does that work? Like, does the next owner understand what he has to maintain? And
The permit would only come as either, I guess, if you're altering the elevation of your property, you'd have to require a permit. It would be a requirement under building permit. New builds, potentially renovations, accessory buildings, garages, sheds, things like that. So a sale of land wouldn't require a drainage.
A complaint would trigger a review.
Right, so the
Right,
person buying it wouldn't necessarily know that drainage had to stay in place, I guess, is what I was asking.
I suppose not. The only thing it would be
Common sense to...
well, in file on, I guess it would be file in my office. And if there was a complaint by a neighbor, then that file would be looked at as far as elevations, and then the review would determine if the elevations of at least the affected property were altered or not maintained, I guess.
Because the permit says they have to maintain, so should there be a sale in the meantime, the obligation would not necessarily legally pass over, but Jeff would have a basis to what it was, what was working, and if they've done something to alter, he has a route to remedy it.
Or not maintained, which anyway.
Okay, perfect. Anybody else?
So I guess I read through it, exceptionally comprehensive, the drainage. It's actually a really good read, especially a person who's looking to do some development within the community. And I think it's great because I know water creates some of the biggest fights, especially amongst property owners. I guess, so in the question of retaining walls, okay? And I speak specifically this because of the town, and we have land that this is going to apply to, the former Eastview site. When we're talking about a retaining wall, whose responsibility is it to put in said retaining walls? Like, when we're talking in between properties, right, as we sell lots, so, is it the person who's above, is it the person who's below? Is it the person who buys in has to make sure he's got one on either side?
That's a tricky question to answer,
Well,
because Jeff and I talked about putting some parameters in there, but we can't, because we don't know what the new guy's going to build or what he's going to do there. So if the new owner, and I'm saying he loosely, if they are doing a build or alterations to the property that now is impacting your ability to keep your house stable, then they have to put it in.
Or the law.
Or the law, yes. So maybe you can explain it.
Yeah, there is under, I think I can't remember, was section 3 or either D, I can't remember whichever it was. There's a little diagram in there which outlines to what degree that retaining wall is holding and what it's holding.
Whether it's the 1 meter above ground, and I remember reading that.
And so that would determine whether that retaining wall is holding up a foundation of a house or even potentially the slope of the yard.
Okay,
So that, in my opinion, that there would determine if that retaining wall is holding up either a portion of earth above it
Right.
or a building. That would determine, but as far as whose wall is it?
I mean, who's gonna be responsible, I guess, I'm just trying to think, you know, as us as a town looking to market these lots. Okay, we've got a house that's here, currently we have 3 or 4 empty lots. We all know that grade is more than 4 today, we all know that, right? I mean,
So 10.
yeah, I didn't do very good in geometry and all that, but I do know that's more than 4 degrees. So we know the next house that comes along right here is already at that position. So is it the person's responsibility who's above today to put that retaining wall in to protect that next house coming in? Or are they responsible? Because the minute that next house comes in, we have to have some clarity as we're marketing these properties.
Well, it's gonna have to go case by case is the problem, because all of the research we both did, there is no clear winner of how we determine that, because everything's different.
So we could have an applicant that either wants to build a retaining wall on the lower portion of the lot and bring the elevation up, or we have a potential where we have an applicant who wants to dig into the bank and put it on the uphill side.
So if that person doesn't want to build up, is that the person who's above now responsible for that retaining wall?
In this instance, as they would be digging into the bank, they would have to put a retaining wall on the opposite end to retain the property above it. Does that make sense? Like
But if no one's building below them, then we already know they're gonna be in excess of 4 degrees. Are they gonna be responsible for a retaining wall?
I guess there's a potential a person could have 2 as well.
Well, technically, the 4 is just to create slope to a possible swale. It's the 45 degrees that you need to pay attention to whether a retaining wall is required.
Because there's a potential, depending on, and then we don't really know until we see the house plan and we see the grading, there is a potential where an applicant may have to put one on either side. If they don't have somebody above them, they're still responsible for holding that earth.
Okay, so then let's take another example and we can move south onto Adelaide, right? And currently we see one house there. We would agree that the hillside immediately to the east is in excess of 4 degrees, or whatever that angle would be. Are they responsible for a retaining wall today for the property that's immediately adjacent to the east of it, or is it the property owner to the east of it who's responsible for that retaining wall?
I guess in my opinion, and that was something we discussed, was in the event where an applicant drained if they had enough side yard and they drain, or they slope their property according to the bylaw to a degree where it's not impacting the structure, are they allowed to have mowable slope or landscape slope at the key angle is at 45 degrees.
Yeah,
so if you keep your drainage at your 4% away from your house to a distance that's far enough away that it's not impacting the structure of the house, and they still have enough land where they can landscape down,
Okay.
Yeah.
then
I think the caution is not to get none of the 4 degrees. That's about
That's right.
gradual grading and perching at your house.
which would take care of the
Don't think 4
drainage
means
away.
retaining wall, it does not. It means that Jeff has to look at each property now and determine what the characteristics are, because if they can achieve a grassy slope to get to a swale and not impact any neighbor, they don't need a retaining wall.
Okay.
There's a lot of characteristics that come into play here. If Jeff says, no, you can't, you have no way of achieving that.
The key is
then-
enough land.
Okay, no, like I said, I mean,
Yeah.
we're fortunate, our most beautiful community in all of Manitoba, we've got these beautiful rolling hills, and then as developers in drainage, we've got these ugly rolling hills. And that's the counter side to this, and I just want to make sure that as we go forward trying to protect citizens, that we're thinking through these scenarios, and the less chances that we have where I guess the person who runs our planning district has to make a gut call. I guess that's my preference.
He'll come back to us.
Well, and I guess that's where we would seek advice as well, because that's what we did, was one question I did ask, was the way it's worded, is like, are we saying, if you can't make this drainage work, are you required to have a retaining wall, or are we gonna accept some sort of maintained slope? And that's what we,
As long as you're not impacting.
yeah, and if you're not impacting any structure, then is it allowed, or are we saying, no?
Okay, so at that point, when the homeowner's providing their drainage plan, is the expectation that it has to be an engineered plan every time on every lot?
No, but he can ask for one
Yeah.
depending on the situation.
And what would that situation be in your mind? Again, I'm trying to flush this out a little bit more.
I guess for myself, it would have to be, if I can't physically say that, I guess if the applicant could achieve what the intent of the bylaw is, if they have an alternate solution that they feel work, then they would probably have to bring.
That's good. I just wanted
Something
to.
further.
Yes.
Because I would be basing off that bylaw.
Okay.
And obviously, we're giving that little bit of leniency, but I think that leniency is more looking at kind of our infill lots where we may already potential have a high lot, and this guy gets his 4% grade and he's 6 inches below it. You know, that's kind of where our leniency is looking at, so those infill situations.
Just think of me like water, I'm just testing where there could be weaknesses.
No,
That's all I'm doing. Where we can through, that's all I'm asking. It's very thorough, and I really appreciate the time and effort that's gone into this.
We do know it may need amending.
Exactly. We don't know if this is 100% right.
But we've read so many bylaws,
Yeah.
we've reached out to other provinces, we look at, whether it's news bulletins or pamphlets they've created to inform the public, and we think we plagiarize the best of all worlds.
It looks like a winner to me, like I said, I was just testing in my mind to set the questions in those scenarios, so.
I've had a lot of 4 a.m. thought on this.
Me too.
No doubt.
Okay, thank you, Darrell, and Jeff, and Colleen. So if we're comfortable, we can always tweak it, I guess, a little bit down the road. Everybody's comfortable moving forward with the first reading? So, moved by Councilor Gerard, seconded by Councilor Miller. Be it resolved that bylaw number 3210-22, being a bylaw of the town of Neepawa to regulate the lot grading and drainage of private or public property in the town of Neepawa, be now read for a first time. All in favor? Carried.
And if you have any other questions, pose them, because that's the only way we go, oh, never thought of that one.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, we're down to other business. Anybody have anything they want to say tonight before we adjourn?
Yeah.
Yes, Councilor Perry.
Well, so we have this hospital thing coming up. And the one question I asked the doctors is there anything that the province is not putting in the building that you would like as doctors? And so they going to be coming up with an answer to that. So if there are people in the community who would like to get some momentum going on a project, and it would be something of the nature, not, like a bunch of stethoscopes, it would be something like a CAT scanner or something of that nature, that they should maybe contact us, and we can maybe start looking forward to a direction that might be helping out enhance the services that we can offer here.
Okay, thank you.
Just to add on to that, Councilor Parrott, just a reminder, we had this chat just prior to the end of tax season of December 31st. But as always, if people are looking for ways we can contribute to the facility and make sure we can add features like that, we see a number of communities that are always raising funds for things like CAT scan machines, MRIs. We do have that ability as a community to create tax receipt on contributions over $20. If they want to make a contribution to our health reserve, so we can go forward on that and make sure that we can equip this hospital with everything that our doctors do need and want. So,
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, if there's nothing else, we will move forward with adjournment. Moved by
Aaron?
Councilor Butler, seconded by
Madge?
Councilor Perry. Be resolved, the council of town of Neepawa do now adjourn this regular meeting of council at 8 p.m. All in favor?
I thought maybe we just have to sit here until that.
Kind of thought.